Hi everybody, welcome to the first week in May. It's not April anymore, and it's not June, it's May. It's the fourth day today. Remember, we're videotaping a day early, so you'll have this lesson in the morning, but I'll cross out 4, and sadly, all of the days in May, there are 31 of them, are home days. Let's count to 4. Now, I want you to stand up. And since there are only 4 days so far, I want you to jump as high as you can 4 times when I count. Super, super high. Stand up. Ready? Jump 1. Jump 2. A little higher this time. Jump 3. And the very highest you can jump. Jump 4. There are 4 days in May so far. Today is Monday, May 4th. Our lesson today will be the opening group. We'll have a mystery question, which is a little different today. We'll have a science activity. It's really an experiment. And then later on, not in this video, but later on today, I'm going to have a graphics practice video that I'll put on Class Dojo. And I want for you to have your wipe-off board and marker or a pencil and paper, anything that you can use. And if you don't have those things, you can even be prepared just to use your fingers to practice with the graphics practice writing. So our lesson is, our message is, we are going to do an experiment about oxygen. That is such a really long message, but I want you to think back when we were doing our doctor's unit. I want you to think about what we said oxygen is. Do you remember? Oxygen is what we breathe in. Do you remember where the oxygen goes? It goes into our lungs. Remember, our heart is about as big as our fist and our lungs are on either side. So before you write the message, I want for you to breathe in and fill your lungs with the air that we breathe, which is oxygen. That's what we need. We are going to do an experiment about oxygen. Ready? We are going to do an, okay, here comes a long word, experiment about oxygen, which is the air we breathe. Okay. We start with we, capital W. We are going. These words are getting easy for you now, so I don't spend a lot of time on them. They're old words for you. We are going to. Do is a lot like to, but it starts with the letter D, D, D. D as in duck. We're going to do an experiment. Experiment's a really long, long word. I know it starts with an EX. You know, you can hear the experiment, you can hear X. Say the word experiment. It has an X in it, but it starts with an E and an X. That says X. P-E-R, experiment. Now, what comes at the end of experiment? This letter's at the end of a lot of words, I've noticed. Is experiment a word that ends in the letter, let's see if there's a different, J? Experiment, as in jet, or experiment as in turtle? You're right, it's a T. Another T. That's a popular letter. We are going to do an experiment about, and funny enough, it also ends in a T, experiment, T, and about T. Now, oxygen's a little bigger, different. It's shorter, it's not as long as experiment. It has an X in it too. Say the word oxygen. Oxygen, experiment. They both have X's. This one starts with an ah, which is a vowel, O, oxygen. It's the air we breathe. And what's the last sound in oxygen? Oxygen. Is it oxygen with a B as in baby? Oxygib? I've never heard of that before. Or is it oxygen with an N at the end as in nest? You're right. It's an N at the end. I'll put a lowercase in. It's not an uppercase and it's at the end of the word. This is our very long message of the day. Ready? we are going to do an experiment about oxygen. Will you turn to somebody at your house, or maybe just say it out loud? Will you say this sentence? Say it with me again. I want you to say it or read it. We are going to do an, what's this word? You know? Experiment about oxygen. We did an experiment about oxygen before when we took plastic baggies and put straws in the bags and blew up the bags and filled them with our air, just like our lungs fill with air. The reason I'm thinking about oxygen today is that our tadpole we have been watching is starting to develop lungs. And instead of using its gills to breathe under the water, it's beginning to breathe on top of the water, which means it's getting its oxygen from above the water. It's getting close to being a frog because the frog has lungs and that's how it breathes. I want to show you a video of our tadpole and you can see the bubbles at the top of the water. That's some of the oxygen that he's getting and some of what he's breathing out. But come look at this video with me and then we'll do an experiment and I can show you how leaves make oxygen. Okay, here we go. So he's up at the top now. It looks like he's trying to get some oxygen from the top of the water. See the bubbles at the top? I don't know if you can tell, his back legs are really big right now. And I don't see any front legs. And his tail is a bit shorter. I don't know if you can really tell. His eyes look a little bit more bulgy. There he is from the side. So there's his mouth. He's sort of breathing closer to the top of the water. There are bubbles at the top of the water. His eyes look more bulgy, his tail's a little bit shorter, and his legs are bigger. So I feel like he's getting closer to the frog stage. There are a lot of other tadpoles in here. Insurance container. Is he in there? Okay. The other tadpoles are smaller. There's a smaller one right there. Oh, his eyes look good. Oh. The big one came down to the bottom. That one doesn't have any legs yet. There's one in the back. Oh, you can see my reflection. There I am. Tadpole up. There's another tadpole coming up closer. I really wish you could see this in person. See them? Oh, there's another one. They're swimming everywhere. Remember, I made their habitat more natural. I put these rocks in, and I think they really like the rocks. They swim all around them. Sometimes they sort of land on them. So anyway, I just wanted to show you how things are looking and progressing in the tadpole environment. We'll keep checking back. There's a crazy insect. I've looked that up. I'm not sure what it is. I thought it was a larva at first. But I'm not sure if that's what it is. Okay, we'll check back soon. I wanted you to see the video of the tadpole at the top of the water and all the bubbles at the top. I wanted you to see how he's using the air outside of the water to breathe, which means his lungs are developing. His gills, he won't use them anymore when he's on a tadpole. He'll use lungs like we have, and he'll use the lungs to breathe the oxygen outside of the water. Now, this is a really interesting experiment. The experiment I had to do earlier today outside, because this has to happen outside. The sun and water and leaves created something, and I want you to watch another video that shows how you can do this experiment at home and what the leaves made during this experiment. Come watch this. show you that goes along with our experiment today. We've been talking about oxygen and how living things need oxygen to breathe. This experiment is a pretty simple one. All you need is water, a container to put the water in, and leaves. And in this experiment, I'm able to show you little bubbles that form outside of the leaves that are oxygen. The leaves go through a process called photosynthesis. And the leaves on different plants and trees make the air that we breathe. And you can see in this experiment that the little bubbles you see on the leaves are bubbles of oxygen that the leaves are making. It's sort of like the bubbles that you saw that the tadpole was sort of making as he was breathing oxygen at the top of the water. Look at those bubbles there. So I'm going to wipe the leaf off my finger. You can see there's I don't know if you can see the bubbles come up to the top of the water, and the bubbles will pop, and then there'll be new oxygen in the air because leaves and plants make the oxygen that we breathe. You can try this at home. Different leaves make different. There's another leaf with a lot of bubbles on it. It took about an hour for the leaf to start to produce the oxygen that I could see in the water. See the bubbles, all those bubbles there? That's the air that we breathe. The leaf had made that. Isn't that crazy? The bubbles popping up. But all you need is a leaf. Usually the food is made on the oxygen is made on the underside of the leaf. So this is the top of the leaf. You don't usually see as many bubbles. Like, for example, here's the top of this leaf. I don't see any bubbles there of oxygen. Let's see if I turn it over. Oh, there they are. There's the bubbles. So on the bottom side of a leaf, you can see the oxygen that's being made when you put the leaf in the water and also in the sun. So the leaves need the sun to make the oxygen that we breathe. Remember we talked about oxygen? We were learning about the human body and how our bodies breathe in oxygen. Oxide comes out. There's a bubble right there on that leaf. So if we didn't have the trees to make the oxygen, we wouldn't be able to breathe. So don't forget to think a tree and try this experiment at home. One more thing before we go. I saved our mystery question for last because it's a little different. We're starting to talk about rhyming words now. So today I have 3 different cards of 3 different pictures. There's a train, there's a bone, and there's the brain. I picked the brain because that was something we also studied during our unit of the human body, our doctor unit. This is new too. This says rhyming. If 2 words sound the same at the end, thumbs up. That means they rhyme. Rhyming means they sound the same at the end. If one word sounds one way at the end, and this word, the second word, sounds different, thumbs down. They are not rhyming. So today I'm going to tell you which ones rhyme. And tomorrow, Wednesday, when I do the next lesson, I want for you to see if you can figure out which words rhyme. So in the picture of the brain and the bone, let's see if the end of these words sound the same to you. Do brain and bone rhyme? It's hard. They both have n at the end, but they don't sound the same at the end. See if you can hear it. Brain, bone. They do not rhyme, even though they have the same ending sound. Let's look at this part. Here we have brain and train. Brain, train. They both have the ain sound at the end. They rhyme. So I'm going to show you by putting these up that brain and train are the rhyming words. Even though bone ends in an N, it doesn't have ain in it. It would be bane. I said this is not a rhyming word. Put that down. So next time we get together, we'll have another set of rhyming words. I hope you enjoyed the leaf experiment. Look for other videos today. I'll be posting a drawing lesson of a tree and also graphics practice. You never know what we're going to post. Keep checking back on Dojo. Hope you have a great Monday, the 4th of May. Bye.